Hey, hello, my friends, and it's good to be back and to be here with you and just enjoying, the beginnings of spring. And so I was just wanted to talk about a couple of things that hopefully will help you not only within this week, but perhaps even, referring into the future. And I do love spring. Again, spring just after a winter of being bottled up and being in the darkness, just the sun shining and just that urge just to want to get out and do things. It's just really kind of just life life uplifting. And now one of those things that, you might have varying degrees of motivation to do, but it's always a good thing to do is, well, spring cleaning. Yeah, I know. Not necessarily the most fun thing to do, but admittedly, we do get into that mode of wanting to spruce up our places, our homes, maybe planting in the yard if you're the type of gardener, just renovating. And again, the not so fun part of the spring cleaning is, well, getting rid of clutter. But I would really like to expand on that idea with you, where, yes, absolutely getting rid of stuff is part of the process. But I'd like to talk about maybe a type of spring cleaning that you may not have been doing for a while, or maybe a way of looking at it a little differently. And that is the type of clutter that we can collect within our minds and just with habits that we have. And you know that this is going on when you can feel as if when you're living your life somehow got away from you, or somehow the life you're living is not your own, like you're like a guest character in your own life. And when I was talking about the energy of the flow of the river this week, it's going to be really loud. And the urge when something's really loud for some of us to be like, yell louder, so you can be heard above the noise, which only adds to the greater noise, and multiply that by a cast of billions on the planet, you get the idea. We all go deaf. Or the opposite, where you want to go just run cheaping into a corner and wrap yourself up and become invisible. And although these would be, reasonable, again, like a fight or flight type of response, it's really not what the sacred energy is trying to do. Again, as I mentioned to you, the idea is to remove the clutter of the mind and perhaps within your own spirits, your lives. So, what this energy is going to be doing for you this week, and at times it will even happen beyond, is it will literally point out places within yourself and within your surroundings that are loud. They are consuming a lot of energy, a lot of your time. And it's really time to sit down and to reevaluate, you know? Is this really serving you anymore? And let me talk about some of the two more common ways that this type of clutter happens. So, like most clutter, we get items that were useful or meaningful at one time, and then ultimately they evolve to not be. And the same thing happens true with the roles that we play. So again, roles in our life are important. We do need them. They help definitely to outline, um, you know, ways of being able to achieve, certain ways of being able to interact. But it's time to take a look at, where did these roles that you're playing come from, really? Obviously, if you're in them, for the most part, I'm sure you volunteered, or maybe it started off as one thing and became something else. But really take a look at, where did these roles come from? And ultimately, was it originally what you signed up for? Is it something that serves you still? And coupled with every role, every responsibilities that you play, are the ways to be able to, to act them out. And with that, you need to take a look at who taught you how to perform these roles. So, say, for example, um, if you're taught that every task that you do has to be perfect and you can never make a mistake, well, I don't know about you, I'd be a nervous wreck, because I'm only human. I make lots of mistakes every day. So, with that, the role of maybe being a responsible parent or coworker or a partner, you know, yes, the idea of being, dependable and loving, and the different values that you have. but the way that you embody them, who taught you that? And there can be different ways that you came upon it. A lot of it was from our growing up as kids, as children, what were we taught? And with that, what comes with it, maybe the spiritual pathways of religion that you were brought up in. And let's not forget the time era that we come from. What are the things that are going on in the times that we're living in, or at the time that you were learning how to embody these roles when you would take them on. And I can bet you a good portion of that will be where they're really not really relevant anymore, you know, where maybe again the values or the point of the roles of again of being, a dependable coworker, of being a good friend, of being a loving partner, these things are timeless and universal. But the ways of truly being this in a meaningful way to each other changes, not only interacting as the dynamics of relationship, but as we grow as individuals, as the time eras that we're in. So, really, in order to be able to look at this and the roles that you have, it's like, well, do I really need to be playing these roles? Yes or no? And if the answer is yes, then I'm sure, it'll be just like with your homes. Everybody's got that itch, to, as I said to you, with renovating the home and getting rid of the clutter. Update, update how these roles are played, you know, update. And part of that updating is putting in your own input, your own wisdom with this. And if you find that a role no longer suits you, it no longer has that function, then it's time to begin to let it go. And it's easier said than done because a good deal of the times, the different, roles that we play, the hats we wear, if you will, create our identities. So if you find yourself being very, almost like a resistant, even though you might know better what's good for you, to let these things go, respect the fact that depending on how long you've been, being that faithful coworker, what have you, where people look to you, the more it has made up the routines and rhythms of your life, the more that it has become entrenched as part of your identity, whether it's good for you or not, whether it's relevant or not. So give yourself that consideration. And when you begin to evolve something out, it's due process. And with that, but remember, for me, once you begin to evolve something out, you are reclaiming energy, you're reclaiming space, kind of like, again, removing that clutter. So it's something much more wonderful and useful can be there. Maybe even just leaving it as free time so you can breathe, so you can just be you. Which leads us to the second point where I find a lot of, if you will, intangible clutter would be the masks or the personas that we wear. And just like, the roles that we play, the personas are necessary. It's what we do. It's what when you go, say, even into being a foodie, I'm sorry, I have to pick it, into a restaurant, everybody has a role. You sit down, the persona of being the polite guest, being the restaurant, of the patient server, et cetera, et cetera. So when you have, again, the personas, it talks about how we behave, depending on situations and environments. It allows for us in a very crazy world to uh, have expectations. You know, I do this, I behave this way, this person does that, they behave that way, and so forth. So it adds a sense of structure to it. And overall, it allows for us to be to successfully navigate, through society. It allows for us to be able to, if there's, say, at work, a certain position you hold, whether it be, as the boss or marketing or the one who holds it together with admin, whatever it is that you do. Again, everybody plays their part. Again, having that persona allows for you to function publicly, so that people still see that part of your personality and so forth, but allows for you to remain private. You have those private parts of yourself. So it allows that one away so you can be comfortable. in a public space. And then the other thing that it will also do for you is uh, with that, with the different personas, it allows for us as we move through society, and again, how these personas, these behaviors that we have, are defined by culture, you know, but it allows for us, again, that we can go anywhere, at least, like, say, for example, here in the United States, where if you go even to a shop, that you would hope and expect for someone to, at the very least, acknowledge and greet you in a friendly way, and in turn, that person would hope that you would be there, not wrecking the place, but enjoying seeing what's there and hopefully maybe to inquire and to perhaps purchase. So, again, things being spelled out, how to behave, how to interact with each other. But personas can become masks when we wear them for so long that they become hazardous. And how does that happen? Well, for as much as when masks start developing from personas, what happens is that we talked about that one away, of being able to act publicly and still have the privacy. But the hazards come when that persona becomes, you feel more likable, lovable, uh, more real to a degree than you. That fear that if I take this mask off and I'm just me, maybe I don't even like me. Well, if I don't like me, why would anybody else like me? Maybe I'll just keep this on. This is safer. So that becomes very hazardous in that regard. And the second one is because you don't have to do any inner work. You can just be looking and robotically doing your thing. Everything is very predictable between the roles that you play and the persona you do to being able to embody that. And then ultimately, you can just become lost. You become literally like a character where if you take off these masks, if you take off all the roles that you play, you're afraid of looking to the mirror and seeing no face. Where did you go? Because you forget what makes you happy. You lost your sense of purpose because you got caught up in that hamster wheel of doing. And once again, with wearing that mask for so long, living up to other people's expectations, behaviors, you get the idea. So, hence, with what the message that I wanted to give to you. So, how do you resolve these things when it comes to making sure that these masks don't remain literally just fused to you, layers and layers of masks, much like when you chip away the paint on the walls? It's not a pretty process, and ultimately smoothing it out to put something new and better is getting into the quiet. I know it seems completely counterintuitive, especially with the energy of the sacred river roaring. But remember, the roaring is to point out where your energy is being consumed. Where is there chaos and drama that consciously or subconsciously we all contribute in some way. So, with getting into that place of silence, it can be as basic as just like breathing. You've heard me talk about that to you before. Being present in your body, honoring your body. If you're hungry, for God's sakes, don't wait till you're passing out from dehydration or your blood sugars are through the floor. You know, being present in your body, acknowledging where you are, you know, and when you get into that quietness, just learning to really be present. Initially, it will be uncomfortable. All right. If there are those who said, no, hey, Skyfire was a breeze for me, please, I want you to be right here by my side talking because I would need to learn. So in the beginning, it's going to feel uncomfortable because these other things, like I said, what I call the roles or like the hats and then the masks, the personas becoming masks, have become more, I'm going to say, even though they might be uncomfortable, more familiar. So when you begin to strip these away, it is okay and very normal to have a period of time where you're going to feel awkward, where that knee-jerk reaction will be to want to run into it. It's kind of like I've had some friends who've quit smoking and sometimes don't even know what to do with their hands, and it's just become this self-soothing habit where even they know it was bad for them, that need to run back until they're able to kick that addiction. And to a degree, these hats and these masks can be like an addiction. So give yourself the proper support. Allow that time that you're going to be uncomfortable with it. And after you do that, something wonderful happens. You rise above the noise. Yeah, trust me, I've done it. It happens. You rise above the noise around you. You are able to finally release the noise within you. And what remains? Because after you're done being uncomfortable, you can feel your heart. You can feel who you are. You can begin to really get in touch with yourself and your sacred self and say, you know what? What matters to me? What makes me happy now? You know, what is it that I can begin now asking questions and then taking action to live my life purpose, to have more meaningful relationships with myself and others. So, this is what I wanted to share with you in this idea of spring of new life. It's not the idea of, even though there's that urge to want to jump up and get busy. Okay. But balance it with clearing the clutter within you. Again, that's why with that proverb, the native proverb that, basically that within the silence and being within the kiss of the winds, that you can find yourself again. You can connect with nature. You can connect with your heart and in turn reclaim your life. So I beg of you to do this with love and without judgment, for yourself and for others. This is, right now there's so much being brought to the surface for all of us. So the way that you would treat yourself, treat others. Again, let this be a circle of kindness, a circle of awareness. Let the silence bring you awareness and help you to get oriented. And at that point, you can begin to take action to create a more beautiful and meaningful world for yourself and for others. So, with that, my friends, it's been a pleasure. It always is. And I thank you for everything. So, from my heart to yours, the brightest of blessings to you and to your loved ones until we sit with each other again. And as always, I greatly appreciate when you like and comment and share, because it's so important to keep this wave of positivity growing. And if you have a mind to, if you haven't already, please, I always am grateful when you subscribe. That way it comes to you at your convenience. And if you already have, I thank you so much for your encouragement and your support. To all of you, much love. Wanishi, thank you. Until next time.